um, are you biologically related to?
That's my brother. Like, we ain't got the same mother and same father, but that's my, yeah.
When it's time to ride, yeah. Who gon' pull up when it's time to slide? Yeah. Me and my brother, we
Got a crazy story.
All right, yeah, see.
He is at the airport, some tall ass, he like 7 feet. He see Durkee, yo. Now that was crazy.
20 years. Right. You do something, and I see that it ain't no coming back from that, what you did, that infraction, I'ma fall back. I love you, but I love you enough to walk away from you. So
'We're back with another banger. We're doing a scary video reaction part like 5 or 6. I don't know what it is, but it'll show it in the title. It's 5:13. It's 10:32, 8 p.m. and 5:13. I don't know why I'm telling you. I'm so sorry. All right, I'm gonna start back once my brother joins up. We're back. He's joined back.
It was around 9 p.m. in the evening, and I was at my house preparing for dinner. We shared the house with Sam, who is also a medicine student at Kenyatta University. He was at the bedroom, laying down, since he had been studying all day long for the forthcoming end of semester examinations. Suddenly, I heard a knock at the door, which really surprised me since I never expected a visitor to our house at such the time of the night. I hesitated to open the door, but then I knew I heard a second knock. I decided to peep through a certain hole that was at the doorknob, and what I saw made a cold sweat run down my spine. There was another scary face that was also peeping through the same hole, and when they saw me peeping, it smiled, exposing its wide mouth full of jagged yellow teeth. I was really amazed what kind of creature it was, and at such an hour, what could it be in need of at our house? However, I also heard another knock, but this time round it was coming from the window side. When I peeped through the curtain, I saw a very beautiful girl at the window side, crying helplessly. Curiosity got me, and I opened the door to get to inquire what the problem she was facing, forgetting that there was also another creature who was peeping through the doorknob. But on opening the door, I never found it. As soon as I opened the door, the girl hurriedly came to my side, and from the nature of her beauty, I just led her into my house. However, the girl dressed so sexually. She had a very beautiful face and a little makeup in her lips. She was wearing a very short dress, which, whenever she bends down, you could really see her purple panties, which made my body get to have the desire to have an intimate relationship with her.
Bro, what the?
She wore a transparent bra, which when you peep through it, you could see the nipple of her breast.
Okay, hold up. Yeah, I'll be back to this one. I'll skip through here and then I'll be back to it. Well, you know, I'll skip this part and I'll be back to it.
I later came to learn that she was just but fooling us. I told her that my friend was at the sitting room, and she insisted in seeing him since she said she was her fiance. Sam had been my friend for a very long time, and I think I knew all his friends, and Hannah could not be her fiance, but simply because Sam also at some times used to keep some secrets from him. I believed in Hannah's words, and I just let her go see her fiance. However, when she bent down to collect her purse, I noticed that the purse had its zipper open, and on looking inside it keenly, I saw a very thick cucumber. But when she realized that I had seen it, she screamed, "Oh, Felix, why are you peeping at my purse?" But I pretended that I had not seen anything funny. This girl had her own intentions. I said to myself as she entered the bedroom, and immediately as she entered, I heard her lock the door, and I had Sam shout in embarrassment, "Oh, who are you? You look so cute." Though Sam had a great desire in women, and I definitely knew that this was a very nice opportunity for him. I finished my dinner and I kept the rest for Sam and his fiance, and I decided to sleep at the sitting and leave the bedroom for Sam and his friend. I woke very early in the morning when I felt a very strong wind blowing me. When I stretched my hands, I felt like I had touched a very thick liquid. When I lifted my head up, I found myself in a thick forested area, lying in a pool of blood. What made me shake my head in disbelief is that I found Sam's dead body lying beside me. I tried to scream, but no single word could come out of my mouth. I tried to crawl and wake up too, but my legs could not lift me. Hannah had really fooled us, and she was indeed a ghost, which made me conclude that she was indeed the same creature who had peeped through the doorknob. I could not believe losing my very best friend, and what made me burst out in tears is that Hannah had really humiliated Sam's body. It was all over, covered with blood.
Bro,
Hey, I'm Talon, and this is
you
Ruckus,
raised
and I'm
to
going to
believe
show you how to
something that
start an
some
online
random
tutor
person
business.
says, bro?
Let's go. First, go to Shopify.com and start a free trial.
That's why white people don't watch and
Next, create
scary
your
movies.
t-shirt. You can use your own designs or hire a freelance designer. Once
It really smelled weird despite being cut into several pieces. This was really a very painful story, and up to date, I still do not understand how I ended up in a forest together with the corpse of Sam's body. Today, I'm going to share the biggest mistake of my life. A few years back, I went to my friend's house for a night stay. We were all chilling. Mike suggested that we should watch a horror movie. Everyone agreed, but I wasn't ready for this. Since childhood, I was very scared of ghosts and supernatural powers. But I sat with them to watch that movie, as I don't want them to know my fear. The movie was more creepy and horrifying than I thought. I was so much scared that my friends noticed the fear on my face. They started laughing at me. Melina laughing, saying, "Rebecca, look at you, how scared you are." I replied that I am not scared. Mike said, "Don't lie." I shouted in anger, "No, I am not scared." But they were not satisfied with my answer. They said that I can meet them tomorrow at 10 p.m. at our nearby waterfall. Then they will believe me. I didn't have a choice. I have to agree to prove them wrong. The next day, I took my car and headed towards the waterfall. As I was driving, the stories I heard about that waterfall was wandering inside my head. People say that waterfall was extremely creepy and the ultimate suicide destination for people who wanted to end their lives. In the past 2 years, 9 people ended their life by jumping from that waterfall. When I
Bro,
reached
come
the
on,
forest,
man.
I
What the
parked my
fuck,
car
man?
outside and started walking. I was already scared of the whole atmosphere inside. The forest was wild and dark, and I could barely see anything. I turned on the torch and headed towards the waterfall, and there it was. The waterfall looked like it was hungry to swallow me to death. I looked at my watch. It was almost 10:15 p.m. I wondered where my friends are. I did a video call to Mike and said, "Where are you guys? I'm waiting for you here." Mike laughed and said, "Oh, you took that seriously? Well, we were just kidding." I can't believe them. In anger, I ended the video call. Now it was no point in waiting there, so I decided to go immediately back to my home. As I started walking towards my car, I heard a sobbing noise of a lady. I looked here and there but couldn't find anyone, so I ignored it and again kept walking towards my car. And again, I heard that sobbing noise, but this time it feels as if many people were crying at the same time. I turned back toward the waterfall, and I won't lie, chills went down my spine. I saw about 8 to 9 people near the waterfall standing, and with the very first look, I understood that they were not normal human beings. As I turned back, they stopped crying and started leaning towards me. I shouted, "Please don't come here, just stop." But instead of stopping, they began crying, and they all said together with one creepy voice, "Come to us. We are waiting for you. Come to us. We are waiting for you." I covered my ears
Yeah,
and
my
cried out
man.
loud, "Please leave me," and turned back towards the direction of my car. I ran as fast as possible until I reached my car. I got inside, and as soon as I put my car keys, I saw that those ghosts have surrounded my car, and now I was trapped. They started pulling my car and crying loudly at the same time. This time, I break out and couldn't control my tears. I cried, "Please forgive me and let me go, please." I begged and begged, but nothing happened. As I was crying, I saw from the car mirror that many people were coming from behind, and then I passed out. In the morning, I found myself at the local hospital with some people.
Bro, you just gonna go into a random forest, bro? I hate white people, bro. That is stupid stuff. That's why, no wonder why you guys don't ask the scary movies.
People
Bro.
sitting beside me. They told me that one of the people in the locality saw my car outside the forest and told other people about it. They all thought that I was going to suicide, and they don't want one more person to die at that waterfall, so they came to my rescue. I still wonder what would happen if that guy didn't notice my car outside of the forest. I still get nightmares as if they try calling me up till now. Now 5 years had passed since I and my friend Kelvin had graduated from the university.
Terrifying, man.
And all these times, we had been looking for good and better paying jobs, but our efforts were all futile. One day on Saturday evening, we decided to pass by a nearby cyber to browse for available jobs online. From Cal and all these other fields, we had not found any suitable job for us. Luckily, 2 job adverts popped up on the screen. One from a nearby cafeteria that was in need of hiring a pizza boy delivery, and the other one required a packaging personnel. Kelvin was interested so much in the opportunity, but since as for me, I preferred working in the cafeteria as a packaging employee rather than carrying out the deliveries. We read the job description, and the next day we went to the cafeteria, and luckily enough, we even got hired, and we began to work on the same day. Kelvin was given a bike to aid him in the deliveries, and he was allowed to use the bike to ride back home. I used to enjoy the offers from Kelvin since each day he offered to carry me home with a bike. I could really this one particular evening, when we're leaving home from the job, when a customer called on the phone requesting for a pizza delivery, claiming that his son had a birthday. He had promised to buy a pizza, and he had not yet managed to purchase the pizza during the day due to the restrictions in his workplace, and this prompted him to Galleon Cafe for the delivery. The manager ordered Kelvin to carry the delivery out and promised to give little commission the following morning, since the delivery was outside the work schedule. I promised to give Kelvin an escort since the route to the delivery area was through a thick forest. It was really insecure for a rider to ride alone. Packed the pizza and were ready for the delivery. I enjoyed riding together with Kelvin. Suddenly, I heard a loud sound. Boom. It was the bike's tire that had busted out. What a bad luck, Kelvin exclaimed. We had no spare wheel, and at such kind of an hour, few vehicles were available that could offer assistance to us. And being in the middle of such a thick forest, anything
Hey, Jose, bro, you still there?
awkward could happen.
Yeah,
What you doing, bro?
When we tried to call up the manager,
watching.
suddenly, we heard voices of murmuring individuals coming to our side. When they got closer, I was really amazed by the look of the creatures.
I would've kicked
So I just found out about
Move,
Princess,
bro.
a platform where I can personalize my products and sell them online. I love coffee, I love animals.
I'm off at home.
New weird creatures emerged from a nearby forest. One was so huge in shape and had 3 ears, one of which was located above his nose, and others were located next to his eyes. He had a very sharp horn above his head. The other creature had a tail and 3 hands, and he was standing. His feet were not touching the ground, and he appeared to be floating on the air. My heart was beating profusely, and uncontrolled sweat was flowing from my body. This was the first time I had seen real ghosts with my own eyes. We screamed loudly, but our screams landed on deaf ears. It was when we decided to run, but all was in vain. The ghost's speed of running after us was really incomparable. I had Kelvin scream in a loud voice. One ghost had really managed to cope with Kelvin's speed. On looking back, I saw Kelvin being held up by the giant. Nothing I could do to help my friend, since the other giant was also running after me. Luckily, I managed to escape, leaving Kelvin behind in the hands of the weird creatures. The following morning, after spending a sleepless night in the forest, I told the manager what had happened to us, and he called the police, and we went with them to the place where the scene had taken place. The bike was not there, and when we tried to call Kelvin, he could not be reached through the phone. On looking around, we saw blood spots on the ground, and we decided to follow them closely. The droplets led us to a thick cave, and there we saw Kelvin's body floating from a tree. I screamed. My scream could not bring the life to him. His body was hugging on one of the tallest trees. There were heavy cuts in Kelvin's body, and body parts below his stomach were missing. On looking around, several other bodies were hung around, and there was no one available. This was the day when I believed the ghosts really exist. And since that day, I always make sure that I do not travel at night across thick, bushy areas.
Bro, what?
Daisy was driving amidst the storm. Huge lightning and heavy wind made it hard to drive properly. The raindrops bolted on the car like heavy rocks. Daisy said to herself, "Damn it, I should have listened to my friends." Daisy went to a party at one of her friends' house. Despite living far away, she decided to head home. Her friend Tina told her that it would be better if she stays back. There's a storm coming. But Daisy didn't listen.
There's a storm
The rain
coming.
grew heavier and it became almost impossible to see the road ahead. A flash of lightning took place right in front of her car. Daisy pressed the brakes so hard that the car stopped, making a loud screeching noise. She checked her phone, but there was no network to call for help. She felt very helpless in the middle of nowhere.
Suddenly, everybody starts crying. Oh my God, what the fuck? Mi casa, your casa.
Her eyes went to the left. With another stroke of lightning, she saw a small house standing at some distance. She came out of the car and ran towards the house. Daisy was adamant because this was her only chance to survive the night. Panting and breathing heavily, she reached the house and knocked on the door. "Anyone here? Please open the door." She could hear footsteps coming from the house. She knocked again. "Hey, please help me. I'm lost. Please open the door." With a loud creaking sound, the door finally opened. A white-bearded old man opened the door. The man stared at Daisy with creepy big eyes and said, "What do you want?" Daisy replied, "I've lost my way. Do you have a phone so that I can call someone for help?" The man said, "There's a phone in the living room, but don't think it will work now. Whenever there's a storm, the phone lines get dead here." The man moved away and Daisy entered the house. It was a small wooden house with no electricity. There were candles everywhere. The ambience of the house spooked Daisy a bit. She walked towards the telephone and picked it up to dial Tina's number. No matter how many times she tried, the line remained engaged. The man said, "If you want, you can wait for her until the storm stops. Then you can drive back. This road goes back to the nearest town." Daisy smiled awkwardly and said, "Okay, thank you." The man gave her a cloth to wipe her hair, then offered her a glass of wine. Daisy sat near the fireplace. She was feeling chilly. She looked around to see the house more clearly. She then asked the man, "I am Daisy, and you are?" The man replied in a serious voice, "I am Joe. People call me Dead Joe." Daisy's eyes widened in fear.
Why do people call you the Joe? Because I'm dead, man.
"What? Well, why do people call you that?" Joe replied, "When someone dies in the town nearby, they bring the body to my house. Did you see the vast field behind my house? That's our local graveyard. I'm in charge of burying the deads there. This has been my family business." Daisy got up in fear and said, "What? You keep dead bodies in your house?" Joe started to laugh hysterically.
Not
Daisy
in my
said,
house, you goofy.
"I'm gonna leave now. The storm has stopped." She went towards the main door to leave just when Joe grasped her hand tightly. Daisy looked back at him and saw his eyes had turned white. There were no pupils inside them. Daisy screamed and said, "Let me go, please, leave my hand."
My
Joe
hand.
got close to Daisy's face and said, "I am coming. They all can't help but see me every night. They used to scare me before, but now I like their company. Look, there they are. Joe pointed out through the window. What Daisy saw made her stomach drop in horror. There were black shadows outside. They were coming towards the house while floating in the air. Their whispering voices made her ears numb.
Bro, this is not scary. I will be back once I find a scary video.
Joe kept laughing like a maniac.
Alright, we're back. We got another story. Probably not gonna make it all the way through 3. If you want us to finish this one, like, comment, and subscribe, I guess. The baby step. You got 10, Jose.
Hey, you know what you should do though?
What?
Since it's like 3 parts, you should be like part 1 for today, part 2, and part 3 of this story.
Oh, you're right. Actually, no.
That is pretty smart though.
It is smart. But I was just saying, if you want another part of this, like, comment, subscribe, follow, like,
Or if they
subscribe.
want the part 2 of it, comment down below part 2.
If you, comment down below part 2 if you want part 2. Like, let's get to like 50, 100. I don't like that. What do you think it should be, Jose, for part 2?
30.
Huh?
30.
That's easy, man. Hold on, let me see how many subscribers I have real quick. I have 23. Yeah, 30. Actually, 35. You can get to 35 likes. You'll get part 2 of this right here. Number 2, right? And I'll give you 5 seconds, 10 seconds to do it. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, all right, 1. All right, let's go.
Hey guys, it's me, your favorite YouTuber. I always try to do something groundbreaking in each video. And for the last video, we kind of went too far. I'm sure you all know about the infamous Amityville house in Long Island. It's considered to be one of the top most haunted houses in America. Last week, I went there with my friends Chris and Chandler, and I would like to share the terrifying experience we had. One morning, I woke up and got a call from Chandler. As I picked up the phone, he said, "Hey man, I just got permission to spend the night at the Amityville house, though the bank said we would be entering there at our own risk." I got charged up with excitement. Even though the house is available for stay at the cost of $850,000, no one dares to buy it. We didn't have that intention either, so we only arranged it for one night. I texted Chris to start packing, as tomorrow we'll be going there. I got up from bed and made some breakfast. The doorbell rang and a delivery guy brought the equipment that I would be needing to shoot there. I ordered some of the best quality walkie-talkies, night vision cameras, noise-canceling headphones, and a remote-controlled temperature detector. It's said by paranormal researchers that sudden drops in temperature signify that a spirit is nearby. I don't know exactly if it'll work, but there's no harm in checking it. So, finally, at around 9 p.m., Chandler and Chris came to pick me up, and we started our journey. It was a warm summer night. We were all extremely excited. You all know Chandler, even though he was a bit scared, was trying hard to suppress it by making jokes. I was driving the car while Chandler sat beside me, and Chris on my back. Suddenly, Chris said, "Never thought we'd get to spend a night at the Amityville house. I hope you're well aware of the history of this house, Chandler." I laughed and said, "Why don't you tell us in detail, Chris? It'll take half an hour or more to reach there. And anyway, I never got the complete story of why that house became so terrifying in the first place." "Sure. I did quite a bit of research on that house over the past few weeks, so here you go." In the early morning hours of November 13th, 1972, a man named Ronald DeFeo Jr. shot and killed his mother, father, and 4 siblings while they slept in their suburban home at 112 Ocean Avenue, Amityville, New York. DeFeo was convicted for their murders, and he remained in prison today. Now, this brutal mass murder made the house infamous. It became available for stay again. In December 1975, the Lutz family moved in, George and Kathy Lutz, along with their 3 children, but lasted just 28 days in the house. Now, they said terrifying paranormal activities took place during their stay, which they linked to the murders. There were sightings of demons, such as one night the kids saw a man standing at the end of the corridor and watching them. Then, objects moved on their own. Suppose they were having dinner, when suddenly a chair nearby slid on its own. They even saw slime pouring from the walls. There was also a fly infestation in the dead of winter. Mr. Lutz claimed to hear strange demonic voices, as if people were whispering in the walls. They were also attacked by unseen forces. Now, after they left, the house remained vacant for a long time, but owners do come and go. None of them reported any supernatural sightings so far. The house is going to be auctioned soon to find its new buyer, so tonight we'll be on our own at that house. I won't lie, I got goosebumps after realizing that this is where we'll be spending the night tonight. At around 1 a.m., we reached our destination. It was my idea to go there at that hour, and I still regret that. As I drove the car close to the house, I could tell everyone's heartbeat got faster. The area was completely quiet. After all, it was past midnight, and we were at the Amityville house. Here comes the Amityville house. You ready for some horror, guys? I said.
But that's not even
Chandler
funny.
didn't laugh, because I could already sense the nervousness in him. We parked the car near the house. Chandler had the key, so he led us. We took our equipment and followed him. After unlocking the door, we entered the house. The wide living room stood in front of us, followed by a huge wooden staircase right in the middle. The bedrooms are upstairs, Chandler said. Yeah, that's where the cops found the bloody bodies of the entire family, I said, and we started to arrange our cameras. You know what I found most disturbing about this entire murder? What? All of the 6 family members were found dead in that room, and all of them were sleeping, facing upside down on the bed. Don't you think that's a bit unusual? I laughed and said, well, the entire story is unusual. I mean, some people say there's been a second murderer involved in the case who never got caught. Can you imagine how terrifying that is? I mean, guys, what was that? We took out our flashlights and started to walk upstairs. The house had electricity, but we chose to keep the lights off for a spooky ambiance. Our heavy steps were making the wooden stairs creak. We stopped in front of the first bedroom door. Chris said in a low voice, this was the room of Mr. and Mrs. DeFeo. Their son, Ronald DeFeo, must have shot them from where they were standing now. His words gave me chills. Suddenly, I saw Chandler was nowhere. The hair on the back of my neck stood up like sharp needles. Where's Chandler? He was right behind us. I don't know. I thought he was coming with you. Chris and I immediately started looking for him. Chandler? Chandler? Where are you? We checked all the bedrooms upstairs, but he wasn't there. We came down rushing, and I was just about to take the last step when Chandler jumped from the darkness, scaring the hell out of us. And you guys thought that I would be the one who would be scared easily. Not funny, you dumbass. Come on, Chandler, if you're so brave, then prove it. Don't try to scare us like a kid, I said in an angry voice. But I did scare you, didn't I? Chandler started to laugh again. Okay, you think you're brave enough? I challenge you. If you can spend 5 minutes inside any one of those bedrooms in the dark, I'll buy you anything you ask for. Fine. Which room do you want me to go in? Why not Ronald DeFeo's room? Chris added. Sure. Switch on your walkie-talkies. And if you guys try and prank me, then I'll be the winner by default. Remember that. None of us will prank you. Let's just see how brave you are. Chandler walked upstairs and we followed him. Here I go. See you guys after 5 minutes. He then went inside the bedroom and locked the door from inside. Chris and I stood in a distance and started our stopwatch for the countdown. It's dark in here, guys, but I can take this, Chandler said in his walkie-talkie. No talking. Just be quiet. A minute went by and nothing happened. The house was getting really cold all of a sudden. I checked the time on my phone and it was 3:10 already. So far, we didn't see anything paranormal. Hence, Chris was getting impatient. We waited like that for 4 minutes straight. No one was talking. It was just pin-drop silence. Chris was shooting the incident on his camera. I think Chandler was right. This place is not at all haunted. But as soon as Chris said that, the doorknob started to go up and down horrifyingly. Chandler, stop doing your sick stunts. You aren't scaring us anymore. What? I can't even see the doorknob. It's so dark. You guys are doing this to scare me. The doorknob was moving like crazy. I don't know what happened inside, but I heard Chandler screaming at the top of his lungs. Chris and I bolted on the door. Chandler, open the door! But no sound came from inside. Chandler's walkie-talkie lost its connection as well. Without thinking much, we kicked hard on the door together, and it swung open. Chandler was lying on the floor, unconscious. He was gagging in fear. Chris and I lifted his hands onto our shoulders, and we were about to leave the house just when we heard a huge gunshot right in the room. Someone fired from the darkness of the room, and a sudden flash of light took place. In that flash, we saw two bloody dead bodies lying on their stomach on the same bed where Mr. and Mrs. DeFeo were murdered. Oh my God, we have to get out of this house right now. Hurry, Chris. I can't explain how we got out of that house carrying Chandler, but as soon as I got into the car, we locked the door and drove away. On the way home, Chris and I didn't say a single word, except when we reached home. Chris said, I noticed the time when the doorknob started to move rapidly. It was at 3:15 a.m. So, what happened at 3:15 a.m.? I asked. George Lutz was said to wake up at 3:15 a.m. every morning, which was around the time Ronald DeFeo carried out his murders.
All right, Jose, you hear her? Jose. All right, it's the end of the video. If you want part two, second story, like, comment, subscribe, comment #2, #story2, and I need 30 likes and you'll get a part two of that. Peace out.